Hi yogis, welcome to class. My name is Kim and I'm going to be leading you through this 30-minute vinyasa flow focusing on balance and core stabilization. Now let's get started in Supta Baddha Konasana. We're going to bring our soles of our feet to touch, knees open wide to the edges of our mat, and slowly lower yourselves down all the way onto your mat. Arms lengthen long, palms face up to the sky. And just start to sink into your present moment. Let go of anything that occurred to you prior to coming to your mat, or what's to come in the rest of your day. Slowly start to deepen your breath with slow inhales and exhales. And while you're here, you could set your intention for your class. What brings you to your mat today? It could be something simple as one word or a little phrase, whatever resonates with you at this moment. Take a few more breaths here. On your next inhale, bring your knees to touch. Grab the backs of your thighs and rock into a tabletop position. Knees come back. Wrists are stacked directly underneath your shoulders. Knees directly underneath your hips. On your inhale, cow pose, shine your heart up towards the sky. Exhale, cat. Hollowing your belly in, gazes back towards your toes. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Do 2 more at your own pace. Here we're just slowly opening up the spine, warming it up. And on your next inhale, come back to tabletop position. Inhale, your right arm long, left leg long, engaging your core. Gazes down towards your mat. Exhale, crunch. Right elbow to left knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, crunch. One more time. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, your hands and knees back down to the mat. Inhale, your right leg long, left arm long. And on your exhale, crunch it in. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, crunch. One last time. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bring it down to your mat. At the bottom of your next exhale, press back into downward facing dog. Hips come up towards the sky. Feet hip width apart. All 10 fingers press down and towards your mat. Gaze is back. On your inhale, lengthen your spine up towards the ceiling. And on your exhale, sink your heels closer down to your mat. For many of us, this is our first downward facing dog of the day, so you could walk it out, just feeling a nice opening in the backside of your body. Find some organic movement here, whatever feels good to you. And then come back to stillness. At the bottom of your next exhale, walk your feet up behind your wrists, feet width hip apart, ragdoll pose. Hips stacked directly over top of your ankles. Let your head hang heavy. Gaze is back. You could cross your arms and rest your elbows in opposite hands and sway side to side. Bend your knees if you need to. And here you can sway side to side if that feels good to you. Shake your head out no. Shake it out yes. And just feel a nice opening in your backside body. if you're a little bit tighter in your hamstrings. You could shake your head out no, and then shake it out yes. And then release your hands back down towards your mat. Inhale, come up slowly, one vertebrae at a time. With your head and neck coming up last. And when you get to the top, bring your shoulders up towards your ears and then roll them down your back. Heel toe, your feet to touch. Inhale, mountain pose, hands reach overhead, grounding down through all four corners of your feet. Gaze is forward. Exhale, back bend. Keeping your hips forward, shine your heart towards the sky. Inhale, mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. Hands to heart center, hinging from your hips. Bring your hands down towards your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands on shins. If you're a little bit more flexible, you could rest your fingertips on your mat, lengthening the crown of your head long. Exhale, step back with your left foot. Low lunge. Drop your left knee down onto the mat. Inhale, hands overhead. Drop your left knee down to your mat, squaring your hips towards the front of your room. Press your left hip towards the front, feeling a nice stretch in your left hip flexor. On your next exhale, bring your hands down to your mat. Press through the ball of your back foot. Inhale, right leg high. Exhale, downward facing dog. At the bottom of your next exhale, walk your feet up to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, mountain pose. Exhale, back bend. Inhale, mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, this time step back with your right foot. Low lunge, dropping your right knee down to your mat. Inhale, hands overhead. Hips are squared. Dropping your right knee down to your mat. Square your hips forward. Feeling a nice stretch here in your right hip flexor. Gaze is forward. Pressing your hips towards the front of your room and feeling a nice stretch in your right hip flexor. Exhale your hands down to the mat, grounding down through the ball of your right foot. Inhale your left leg high. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a cycle of breath here, and inhale and exhale. And then at the bottom of your next exhale, walk your feet up to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, chair pose, sinking down low on your hips. Tuck your tailbone under. Gaze is forward, arms lengthen long overhead. Gaze down at your toes and make sure you can see all 10 toes. If your knees are over your toes, sink your hips a little further back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, chaturanga, high to low plank. When you're doing your chaturangas, you could always drop down to your knees. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, your right leg high. Exhale, sweep it through low lunge. Inhale, crescent pose. Ground down through the ball of your back foot. Hips are squared to the front, arms lengthen long overhead. Exhale, sweep your arms back. Crescent with airplane arms. Really roll your shoulder blades down your back, opening up your shoulders, gaze is down towards your mat. Inhale up to crescent. Exhale, fly your arms back. Inhale up to crescent. Exhale, airplane pose. Ground down through your right foot. Left leg sweeps long behind you. Arms are long behind you. Palms face your mat. Inhale, one-legged Tadasana. Sweep your left leg through, bending your left knee at 90 degrees. Square your hips, arms lengthened long overhead. Exhale, figure four. Bring your hands to heart center. Cross your left ankle over your right knee. Point or flex your toes just to avoid any knee injuries. Feel a nice stretch here in your left glute. If you want a deeper stretch, you can always bring your left elbow to your left knee. Inhale back to one-legged Tadasana. Exhale, Crescent Pose with airplane arms. Sweep your arms back, grounding down through the ball of your left foot. Gaze is down. Engage your core. Keep your chest where it is. Inhale, your arms overhead, keeping low. Exhale, your palms down to the mat. Inhale, Vashisthasana, side plank. Spin to the knife edge of your left foot, grounding down through your left arm, right arm up to the sky. Really engage your left abdominals, creating that nice rainbow shape. Exhale, Chaturanga, high to low plank. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bring your hips up towards the sky and sink your heels closer down towards your mat. Gaze us back towards your heels. Roll your shoulder blades down your back, spiraling your elbows in. Ground down through all 10 fingers. Inhale, your left leg high, squaring your hips down towards your mat. Exhale, low lunge, sweeping your left leg through. Inhale, Crescent Pose. Ground down through your right foot, 90-degree bend in your left knee. Hips are squared to the front, gaze is forward. Exhale, sweep your arms back, keeping that lunge in your left knee. Roll your shoulders open, palms are down towards the mat. Inhale, back up to crescent. Exhale, sweep your arms back. Inhale up to crescent. Exhale, airplane pose. Ground down through your left foot. Right leg sweeps back behind you. Arms lengthen long behind you. Palms face down to your mat. Rotate your right leg in to keep your hips level. Inhale, sweep your leg through, one-legged Tadasana. Right knee bends at 90 degrees. Hips are square. Arms lengthen long overhead. Exhale, figure four. Hands through heart center. Once again, point or flex your toes to avoid any injuries to your knee. And this time, feel a nice stretch in your right glutes. If you went a little deeper on the other side, bring your right elbow to your right knee on this side, keeping nice balance within the body. Inhale back up to one-legged Tadasana. Squaring your hips forward. Exhale, Crescent Pose with airplane arms. Step your right leg back, grounding down through the ball of your back foot. Gaze is down. Engage your core. Stay exactly where you are. Inhale, your hands overhead. Exhale, your palms down towards your mat. Inhale, Vashisthasana, side plank. Spiral onto the knife edge of your right foot, grounding down through your right palm, gazes up to your left hand. Engage those right obliques. Exhale, Chaturanga, high to low plank. Make sure to keep your elbows tucked in on your going down into your low plank. Elbows only bent to 90 degrees to avoid any injuries when you're doing your Chaturangas, high to low plank. And then push back here into downward facing dog. We're gonna flow through that sequence one more time. Breath to movement. At the bottom of your next exhale, walk your feet up to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, chair pose, arms lengthen long overhead. Exhale, forward fold. hands through heart center. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, chaturanga, high to low plank. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. For this last sequence, flow here, if you have one-legged chaturanga in your practice, you're always welcome to do that when you're flowing through your high to low planks. Inhale, your right leg high. Exhale, low lunge. Inhale, crescent pose. Exhale, sweep your arms back. Inhale up to crescent. Exhale, sweep your arms back. Inhale up to crescent. Exhale, airplane pose. Inhale, one-legged Tadasana. Exhale, figure four. Inhale, one-legged Tadasana. Exhale, crescent pose with airplane arms. Keeping your chest where it is. Inhale, your arms overhead. Exhale, your hands down to your mat. Inhale, side plank. Exhale, chaturanga, high to low plank. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, your left leg high. Exhale, low lunge. Inhale, crescent pose. Exhale, sweep your arms back. Inhale up to crescent. Exhale, sweep your arms back. Inhale up to crescent. Exhale, airplane pose. Inhale, one-legged Tadasana, mountain pose. Exhale, figure four. Inhale, one-legged Tadasana, mountain pose. Exhale, crescent lunge with airplane arms. Keeping your chest where it is. Inhale, your hands overhead. Exhale, your hands down to your mat. Inhale, side plank. Exhale, chaturanga, high to low plank. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. One more little standing sequence here before we go down to our mats. At the bottom of our next exhale, walk your feet up to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, eagle pose. Wrap your right arm underneath your left. Ground down through your left leg and bring your right knee over top of your left. You could rest your right toes on your mat and kickstand your feet, or you could do a full wrap here. Hips are square to the front. Tuck your tailbone under. Elbows are up at shoulder height. And gaze forward at one non-moving object in front of you. In yoga, this is known as your drishti. Inhale back up to chair pose. Exhale, eagle on the left. Sweep your left arm underneath your right, grounding down through your right leg. Sweep your left leg over top of the right. Once again, tuck your tailbone under. Bring your elbows up to shoulder height. Gaze is forward. Inhale up to mountain pose. Exhale, dancers. Bring your right elbow to your right hip. Left arm lengthens long overhead. Grab the inside of your right foot with your right hand. Inhale, lengthen. And on your exhale, kick. Grounding down through your left leg. As you kick, that's where you're going to get your hinge forward. Gaze over your left hand. Inhale, Come back up to mountain pose. Exhale, dancers on the left. Left elbow to left hip. Right arm lengthens overhead. Grab the inside of your left foot with your left hand. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, kick. Keep your hips squared down towards your mat. Gaze over your right palm. Inhale, come back up to mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold, hands through heart center. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, chaturanga, high to low plank. Last chaturanga of today. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, your right leg high. Exhale, pigeon pose. Right knee to right wrist, right ankle to left wrist. Left leg lengthens long behind you. Gaze over your right shoulder to check your alignment to make sure your leg's directly behind your left hip. Inhale, shine your heart up towards the sky. Exhale, fold forward. You could place your hands here on the mat, or if you want a deeper stretch in your glutes, you could come down onto your forearms, or bring your forehead all the way down to the mat. You want to make sure that you point or flex your toes here to avoid any knee injuries. And if you have any discomfort in your knee, skip this pose or flip onto your back and do thread the needle on your back. Feeling a nice stretch here in your right glute and left hip flexor. And just breathe into this posture. On your next inhale, plant your palms into your mat. Ground down through your left foot. Sweep your right leg back up towards the sky. And then just open up your right hip. Exhale your right foot down towards your mat. Downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg high. Exhale, sweep it through. Pigeon pose. Left knee to left wrist. Left ankle to right wrist. This time look over your left shoulder to make sure that your right leg is directly behind your right hip. Inhale, shine your heart up towards the sky. And exhale, forward fold. Go back to that same place that you were on the other side. If you're up on your hands, stay up on your hands. If you brought your forehead all the way down to your mat, do so again on this side. Once again, just to keep your body balanced and even. Our hips are our largest joint in our body, and it's common for us to feel a lot of tension and tightness in our hips. This can make us feel a little bit uncomfortable in this pose. And if you are feeling any of that or feeling a little bit fidgety, take an inhale and acknowledge those feelings. On your exhale, just let it go and sink a little bit deeper into the pose, focusing on your breath here. On your next inhale, plant your palms into your mat. Ground down through the ball of your back foot. Inhale your left leg high up to the sky. And on your exhale, open up your hip. Bring your left foot down to your mat. This is our last downward facing dog of today. Just scan your body here and notice if you feel any different from your first one of today's class. Inhale into high plank. And on your exhale, lower yourself down all the way to your mat. Keeping your hands directly underneath your shoulders. Inhale, Cobra Pose. Press through the tops of your feet with little to no weight in your hands. Gaze is down at your mat. Lengthen long through the crown of your head. Exhale, right ear to your mat, left ear to your mat. Gaze is right. Relax your arms down at your side. Inhale, come back to center. This time, clasp your hands behind your back. Arms lengthen long towards your toes. Inhale, peel your chest and feet off the mat at the same time. Really press your fingers to your heels. Peeling one more rib off your mat. Gaze is down to your mat. Exhale, release. Gaze is left, right ears to your mat. Inhale, come back to center. One more spine strengthening posture. This time, bring your arms out to a T. And on your inhale, peel your chest and feet off your mat at the same time. Feet to touch. Really engage your lower back muscles here. Lengthen long through the crown of your head. Exhale, release. Left ear down to your mat. Gaze is right. On your next inhale, press through the palms of your hands. Come to your knees, and then swing your legs into a seated position. Roll down onto your back. Feet are hip width apart. And walk your heels towards your hips so that your fingertips could tickle your heels. On your inhale, peel one vertebrae at a time off your mat. Bridge pose. Keep your gaze directly above you and don't look side to side to avoid any neck injuries. Knees are hip width apart. Press your hips up towards the ceiling. Exhale, release. Soles of your feet to touch. Supta Baddha Konasana. Knees open wide. Hug your knees into your chest. And on your exhale, grab the outside of your feet. Happy baby pose. If you're a little bit tighter in your hamstrings, you could grab the backs of your thighs. The key here is to keep your tailbone down onto your mat. You could rock side to side here if that feels good to you. Feeling a little bit of an opening in your lower back. Exhale your feet down to your mat. Inhale your knees to chest. Exhale, release your left leg long, right knee into your side, avoiding your rib cage. And on your exhale, supine twist to the left. Right knee crosses over your left leg. Arms are crossed in a T. Gaze is over your right shoulder. It's more important here to keep your right shoulder on your mat, then to have a deeper twist. Keeping the right shoulder helps to keep the spine in alignment. On your inhale, lengthen, and on your exhale, deepen your twist. Inhale, come back to center. Hug your knees into your chest. And on your exhale, release your right leg long, left knee into your side body, once again avoiding your rib cage. And on your exhale, sweep your left leg over top of the right, arms in a T, gazing over your left shoulder. You could close your eyes here. Just begin to relax, getting ready for our final pose. These twists are a great way to detoxify the body, rinsing out our ascending and descending colon. Inhale, your knees to chest. Give yourself one big squeeze. Bring your knees towards your forehead. And on your exhale, release, Shavasana, corpse pose. Feet lengthen long to the corners of your mat. Arms rest at your side with your palms facing up. Close your eyes here. And just scan your body and see if you have any tension left within your body. If you do, breathe into that place. On your inhales, acknowledge it. And on your exhale, release. Slowly begin to deepen your breath. Wiggle your fingers and toes, beginning to reawaken the body. You can roll your wrists and ankles. And then when you're ready, roll to your right into a fetal position. Keeping your eyes closed, push up into a seated position with your legs crossed. Inhale your hands to heart center. Inhale your hands to third eye center, right in between your eyebrows. The teacher in me honors and seeks the teacher in each and every one of you. Thank you for joining me on your mats today. Namaste.